Hello everyone. Today, in this video, I will show you how to create guest users or external users in Microsoft 365 Tenant and how to manage them effectively. I will show you this in various ways we can create this guest users or external users using Microsoft 365 Admin Center. We can create guest users or external users. From Microsoft Azure AD, even we can create guest users. From SharePoint site itself, we can create guest users. So let's get started without delaying it. First, I will show using the Microsoft 365 Admin Center approach. So I am here on this Microsoft 365 Admin Center homepage. I will expand the User section from the left side panel. Then I will go to Guest Users here. Then I can see my list of guest users here, and I will create a new guest user. Click on this Add a Guest User link. If you notice, it will redirect you to the Microsoft Azure Portal. Here, there are two options. Either you can create a new internal user that is for your organization, or you can invite user for external collaboration. Here, I will go with invite user, that is invite a new guest user to collaborate with your organization. The user will be emailed an invitation they can accept in order to begin collaborating. Let's go with the second approach. Select Invite User here. There are multiple things to fill up. I'll just keep all the optional parameters as empty. As these are optional, I'll just keep my guest user Gmail ID here. That is the only thing I need here. Then what I will do is I will just click on this invite button. Yes, my guest user is being invited. My guest user should receive an email now. This takes a little bit of time. Meanwhile, I will show you the other option, how to create an internal user for your organization. Like as I was saying, I can create a guest user using Microsoft 365 Admin Center. I can show you the other approach, like creating an internal user for your organization from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. I can select this as Create User, then pass the username, full name, and other required information for your user. As already I had this username, I'll pass a unique username. Rest all, keep as is, or pass the parameters you need. Here, I am just passing the required parameters and leaving optional parameters as is. Click on the Create button. My external user has been created successfully. Let's see whether I have received an email or not. Let me check my Gmail inbox. This is my external user email inbox. This is my external user Gmail ID. I got an invitation from my Microsoft 365 tenant. I need to click on this Access Invitation button. One thing I must say here, even though I didn't click on this Accept Invitation button, however, my guest user has been added to the guest users list. Right? And if you notice that the guest user is added with ext text, That means external user. This is how we can identify the user as an external or guest user. Now let's accept this invitation. Click on this Accept Invitation link. Now, my guest user will be able to log into my Microsoft 365 tenant environment. My guest user is getting into my tenant using his Gmail account. Click on the Send Code button. My guest user will receive a Microsoft authentication code now in his Gmail ID. Go to your guest user Gmail ID to see the account verification code. I can just copy it and paste this into the sign-in code box. So then we will have permission requested by acceptance message. This resource is not shared by Microsoft. Click on the Accept button. My guest user is signing in. This takes a couple of seconds. Then you will get action required screen. You can ignore this. As your guest user will have 14 days until this is mandatory. Click on the Ask Later button. Now, my guest user has successfully logged in to my Microsoft 365 environment. Now, I'll show you another approach to create a guest user. I will go to my guest user screen, and what I will do is I'll search my guest user. Let me search my guest user, which I just created. To find my guest user, I'll go to my Microsoft Entra ID, earlier known as Azure Active Directory. I will search my Gmail external user. I am searching with my guest user Gmail ID. Yes, I got it, and what I will do is the user what I created from Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Immediately, the user will be available in the Azure Active Directory as well. What I'll do is, let's delete this guest user. Now I have deleted my guest user, and I will just go to my Azure Portal and search with my external username, and I will see whether my guest user is available or not. Again, I am in my Microsoft Entra ID user screen. Yes, already as I have deleted, it's not displaying anymore. What I'll do is create a guest user or external user from this Azure Entra ID screen as well. So what I'll do, I'll create an external or guest user. There are two options here: create new user and invite external user. Now, I'll go with this invite external user. Now I'm creating an external user or guest user using Microsoft Azure AD or Entra ID. I'll just pass my guest user Gmail ID in the email parameter. Rest all parameters I will keep as empty or as is. These are optional parameters. Here, I'm not filling up the optional parameters, just passing the email ID. Click on the Review and Invite button. Even, I can go to the next properties where you can pass first name and last name, and you can see user type is automatically selected as guest. By the way, there are two types: member and guest. Member means internal user, and here I am not passing any attributes, just showing how to pass. You can see on the screen what user attributes are available. I'm not passing anything here. We have seen all the sections of external user creation. I will click on this invite button. So again, my external Gmail user should receive an email invitation. Right? I'll make sure that my user is created. Let's verify my newly created external user. Here, I am trying to find my Gmail external user, which I just created, to ensure it has been created and it is available here. I am searching with my external user Gmail ID. Let's get this user. Let's refresh this page. And I can go to my external user Gmail. I am back to the Microsoft Entra ID user screen. Still searching my external user with the Gmail ID. Sorry, actually as I have not passed my external user display name. Taking time to find it. Yes, it is there. I have found it. It is here. So this is my guest user. It's added here. Now I will go to my external user Gmail and see whether I receive an invitation or not. Yes, I should receive a guest user invitation. I'll show you that meanwhile. I'll show you how to create an internal user in Azure Microsoft Entra ID. Click on the Create New User link from the Microsoft Entra ID user screen. Enter the user principal name and display name. Rest all parameters are optional. However, in reality, we need to enter all the relevant information for the user. For this demo, I am just showing how to create an internal user for your organization. I'm not creating an internal user, just showing how to create. Let's see whether the email has come to my Gmail. The invitation has not yet come. Sometimes it takes time. The process is the same as creating a guest user from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Already I have shown this process. Yes, I can see my guest user, what I have created in Azure Entra ID and Microsoft 365 Admin Center as well, right? This time that code is not coming. Sometimes it takes time, but this is the same process as the other one I have shown in the beginning. Creating a guest user using Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Next, I'll show you using the SharePoint site how we can create a guest user. So let's not spend much time here to find the code. What I'll do is I'll go to my guest user screen and delete my guest user. You may ask every time why I am deleting the guest user after creating it. Because I have one Gmail ID and am showing you different ways to create or invite an external user, where I am using the same Gmail ID. Let's delete this. I have deleted it from the Azure Entra ID, and it will be deleted automatically from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center as well. Refresh the guest users screen in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and you will see that the guest user is not available anymore. Yes, it got deleted. Either you can delete it from here or the Azure Portal. It will be synced automatically in both places. Now I will show you how you can create a guest user using the SharePoint site as well. I'll go to my SharePoint site here. From my site, I will go to my site permissions. There are two options here: add members to group and share site only. If we go with the Add Members to Group approach, the user will have access to other group resources such as calendars and conversations. Here, I will go with the Share Site Only. That means the user will have access only to this particular site. If we select Add Members to Group, the member will have access to all the connected Microsoft 365 apps such as Shared Calendar, Shared Outlook, Planner, Teams, and OneNote. The guest user will have access to all these apps. I will go with this Share Site Only approach. Now, we can see what I explained. It is mentioned here. Add users, Microsoft 365 groups, or security groups. To give them access to the site, note that this site is part of a Microsoft 365 group. If you add users here, they will be given access to the site, but not to other group resources such as calendars and conversations. To do that, add members to the group instead. I will type my guest user Gmail ID or external user Gmail ID. I am entering my external user Gmail ID. It's a very interesting thing here. What is being shown here is this user is outside of your organization, and I can invite this external user for collaboration on this site. This message says that I can share my site to external user. I'll show you why this is allowed. If your organization's external sharing policy is disabled, you can't share with external users. You are allowed to share your site with external users, which means your organization's external sharing policy is enabled. I will check and show you that. This is my SharePoint Online Admin Center. From the Policies, click on the Sharing menu. It is configured with Most Permissive, which means anyone can share. That is the reason I am able to share my site with an external user. Now, I will bring this down, which means I will make it least permissive, which means no external sharing is allowed. Now let's try to perform this same operation that I did here. Now, just click on this. Now what will happen is that I will pass the same Gmail ID. This time it will say external sharing is not allowed. Let's refresh this page and follow the same navigation. Like go to Site Permissions from the Site Settings menu. Add members, then Share Site Only. This time, once you enter external email, you will get a message like, your organization's policies don't allow you to share with these users. Now, let's go to External Sharing setting in Admin Center again. External sharing is blocked. Now again, I will revert back to allow external sharing. I will bring it back to however it was. Here, why I included this process in this demo, I wanted to show why you are able to share your site with external users and why you're not able to. Now again, I will follow the same navigation. Pass the same Gmail ID. Let's refresh this page. I am reloading this page. And let's follow the same navigation. Click on the Site Settings, Site Permissions then. Add members then, Share Site Only. Now, I will add my same external user Gmail ID. It is allowed now because I changed the external sharing setting to allow in Admin Center. My external user should receive an email. See, this is the site which I shared with my external user. Let's open this site. It opened, but it used my logged-in user ID as I am in the same session. Generally, an external user will open the site from his laptop, and using the Gmail ID that I shared with him will be able to access my site. Like how I got another approach. So what is the purpose of showing this is, once you share your SharePoint site with the external user, automatically a guest user will be created. In your Microsoft 365 tenant, you don't need to create a guest user manually. Let's verify this. Here is my guest users list. I have already deleted my guest user before I share my site with him. Let's see whether I get him here or not. Yes, I can see. My new guest user got added to the list. This I have not created manually. This got created automatically through my SharePoint site sharing. As I started this video with, we can create a guest user 3 ways using Microsoft 365 Admin Center, Microsoft Azure Entra ID, and SharePoint site. We have seen all of them practically in this demo. Now that you know how many ways we can create external users in your Microsoft 365 tenant, when you get a requirement to create a guest user or share your SharePoint site with an external user, you can confidently do it as you know. The technical insights of external sharing in the Microsoft 365 product ecosystem. That's all for today. I hope you liked and enjoyed this demo and learned something new today. If this helped you, please consider subscribing to my channel. In the upcoming days, I'll come up with many trending videos on Microsoft's latest technologies, like Microsoft Copilot Gen AI, Power Platform, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Pages, SharePoint Online, Artificial Intelligence, and many more. Kindly be with me and help me to grow on this journey. Thank you.